Patrick, let's start with you at 22 minutes before the hour here in the ReliefFactor.com studios. Hey, Patrick, happy Monday. How are you?
Good. Happy Monday. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
So the Biden administration Democrats support private businesses denying service based on your medical history. This eliminates medical privacy. Does this apply to HIV, AIDS, hearing loss, everything else? What about HIPAA laws?
Patrick, why don't HIPAA laws apply to COVID? Why are there no HIPAA law requirements?
I don't understand that at all. That eliminates medical privacy that I think everyone agrees with and supports.
And Patrick,
discrimination.
Do you hear anybody talking about this at all? Anybody talking about HIPAA or privacy laws or protections of certain privacy rights that people have? I don't hear anybody talking about this at all. Oh, let's get the COVID vaccine and the passport. That's all you hear.
Well, the DNC's, advertising agencies like ABC, CBS, CNN, do you really expect them to discuss this? Not a chance on earth. It's not in the Democrat talking points.
It's not in their playbook. You're right, Patrick. Great call. Thank you. 800-655-MIKE. Now, again, you could push back, as some people are doing. Here's Scott Adams, and he's a prolific guy. He's the column. I think he's the cartoonist, right, Derek? Isn't he Scott Adams, the guy that did Dilbert? And I've seen him on Fox. He's a great guy. He says, hey, a vaccine passport allows us to reopen the economy faster and at lower risk. He says, I don't trust anyone, much less a government, but I see no evidence to suspect any nefarious reasons in this case. Do you? Do you suspect nefarious intentions? Do you suspect your privacy being completely stripped away? Do you think there should be any recognition of HIPAA law? Last week when I had a sick day, and I had to get an email asking me if I had any COVID symptoms, and if I do, I certainly wasn't allowed back in the office. Now, you understand corporations are doing that because they're trying to protect the workforce from getting infected. But what about HIPAA laws? What about privacy? Do I have a right if I get, and by the way, I know people in the public view, public figures who have gotten COVID and didn't want people to know it. And that's up to them. That's their business. But you realize corporate America expects you to eradicate that privacy if you test positive to COVID, or if you come in contact with somebody with COVID. You got to tell your employer that too. You're supposed to tell your employer if you've come in contact with anybody who has a COVID positive diagnosis. Is that your company's business? Now, on the other hand, companies are just trying to reopen and keep people safe. But what do you do with somebody who has no intention of getting a vaccine, has no intention of getting a passport, has no intention of complying? What happens to that person?